vice president is really not known for anything. Because again, you try to make an argument, and it's not. The vice
But with
president is
that
not
being
known for
said, though,
anything.
I'm
Right,
glad that
so-
you said that.
So
I'm
then,
so
Yeah,
glad
and
that
I know
you
where you're
said
going,
that,
I
Maurice.
Michael.
kept
I know where you're going, Maurice.
So with that being said, why do I always hear conservatives or Republicans
Get it right.
say that, oh, well, she didn't do anything as vice president, when we all know the duties and the responsibilities of the vice president is to reside over the Senate and be in place, of course, if something happens to the president. I don't understand why people are putting all of these unrealistic expectations on what Madam Vice President should have been doing, when in all actuality, there wasn't anything for her to do but to champion different causes that the president has and reside over the Senate. He didn't give her proxy to go out and do this. For example, the border czar. There's a misconception out there that Kamala has.
No, it's a lie. It's not a misconception. It's a lie.
There's a misconception out there that she was this appointed border czar or whatever the case may be, which just isn't true.
Lies. There you go. This bitch.
The lie.
The duties and responsibilities that President Biden gave Vice President was to do the investigation and see why there were so many immigrants coming from Guatemala, Honduras, and even when it came to Mexico. Her job wasn't to fix anything. Now, what she did as Vice President and what she did as Senator is that she had the conversations. She was bipartisan to work with the people in the Senate to get the bill ready to be passed. But what did Donald Trump do? He sabotaged. He sabotaged the movement and all of the work that they both did, the both sides that worked across the aisle, so that he can hold the bill out so when he becomes president. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's these expectations of her that simply is not true. She's not a border czar. She was not in charge of the border at all. What Donald Trump was in charge of was building a wall that is still incomplete at this time.
And that Mexico never paid for.
That they never, ever paid for.
Chateau
when we
what?
talk,
So, I'm not going to be here to defend if she was a border czar or not. I think that was the dumbest argument that people came up. Her job was to, whatever you want to call it, help out at the border, root causes, whatever you want to call it, it did not get done. Is it her fault alone? It is not her fault alone. The thing goes back for decades and decades.
Now that is the best thing that you have said
all
night.
Again, I'm very fair. I'm down the middle.
No, we're not going to say that.
I mean, bullshit is bullshit. So when it comes to the border bill, people are pushing this narrative that it was all Donald Trump. Talk about the 6 Democrats who was standing against the border bill as well. So it wasn't just all the Republicans, because they feel as if they did not get what they wanted. It's also the Republicans came out and said, again, we only can take them at their word, that it had nothing to do with Donald Trump. I did not like this bill.
Why were you against the House, against the Senate border deal, the bipartisan border?
Well, they allow 5,000 people a week. Number one, that, but it also made it much better for the opposing side.
So we can go back and forth on why
a bill that they all created, though. That's the part that
they didn't create it. It was
people who were assigned to that particular task
right,
that had complete bipartisan support.
And it didn't if some of the Democrats said no, and then the Republicans said no, so it didn't have support.
Well, all the Republicans,
right? So all of them.
The fact is, the border bill did not get passed. We can go back and forth on why.
We cannot let this happen to our country. As the leader of our party, there is zero chance I will support this horrible open borders betrayal of America. It's not going to happen. I noticed that. I'll fight it all the way. I noticed a lot of the senators are trying to say respectfully, they're blaming it on me. I said, that's okay. Please blame it on me. Please. Because they were getting ready to pass a very bad bill. And I'll tell you what, bad bill is, I'd rather have no bill than a bad bill. Bad bill you can't have. And that's what was happening. And
it doesn't matter. It didn't get passed. So now what we're going to do. So finally, they sound an executive order and it starts slowing down the crossing at the border. Neither one of the sides want to fix the border because it is a great campaign running thing and it brings in money for both sides. Both sides, a bunch of BS when it comes to
Micah, that's not true. Now, I don't believe that both sides don't want to fix the border. I think both sides do want to fix the border. It's about how we go about fixing it is the problem. That's where the divide continues to come in. This immigration issue, to your point, has been something that's been going on for quite some time now. But I think both sides want to do it. It's just the way that they're going about doing this where there's a fork in the road, which is why the bill that was created, everyone supported it originally. Then all of a sudden, when Trump issued his little dog whistle, it stopped in its tracks.
But that's not true.
It is true.
It is not.
I think they're making a terrible mistake if they vote for the bill. This is a terrible bill. Terrible bill for our country. It's a terrible bill. Don't even look at the rest of the bill. It'll be a terrible bill.
Again, we can only take the people at their word. We're going by
I'm taking the people that work with them.
And when the people, it was a pathway to citizenship that some didn't like, some did like. The Democrats want citizenship. We know that's never going to happen. The Republicans, they want a strict border that no one comes in. No, that's not going to happen. So until both sides really want to work on a deal and deal with the people that's already here first, and then deal with how we going to let people in, this shit is going to go on after Trump, after Vice President Kamala.
Get it right.
After whoever else become the president. Because
I'm glad you mentioned that, Michael Jamal, because your candidate, his proposal is to just deport all the illegal immigrants that are here, like all the non-citizens that are here. That's what his plan, what you say, what we should do with the ones that are already here. He said it. He said that we should just deport them all back, even the ones that are here legally under temporary protective status. We should send them all back to their countries. That's his plan.
We know that it's impossible to deport every single person that came through that border illegal.
Does Trump know that, though? You know that. Does Trump know it?
I don't know if you've heard this, but I came up with this one. Migrant crime. There's crime, there's violent crime, there's migrant crime. We have a new category of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's going to be worse than any other form of crime.
Switching gears, we're going to talk about policies just a little bit more. So, Trey, what is one policy of Kamala Harris that resonates the most with you and you would like to see her enact if she becomes president?
Well, for me, everything that she believes in when it comes to the choice of women being able to make their own decision for their body. I have a 16-year-old niece, and in my mind, I feel like, forget it, not even just my niece. I have a sister. I have a mother. I have female friends. And if something was to happen to them at a point where they were molested, they were raped, and they were impregnated by the person who raped them, I can't side with anyone who is for someone trying to make a decision. I don't care if it's a man or a woman, trying to make a decision for somebody that can harm their body, harm their lives, dictate how they live. And for me, that is one of the things that I am proud to say that I'm supporting Kamala for, because she is for the one that's making women making decisions for their own body.
Tania?
Her policy on growing small businesses, especially when it's geared toward gentlemen like yourself, giving us opportunity at a larger chunk of the pie, creating economic opportunities for us to have our own businesses. Yes, there are lots of my people who have businesses now, but she's going to open the door further and close the gap between us owning businesses and getting funding, which is the big criteria, getting funding to own our own business. I have a husband who has our own business, and any economical opportunities that are going to be made available, I'm on top of that.
I want it. Subscribe. Let me get that.
Let me get some.
Okay.
Let me get a couple dollars.
So there's so many. But for me, as a person who mother lives with them, my mom lives with me. I am her caretaker, and I'm also in aviation. I'm a flight attendant, and I'm gone a lot. And so I think something that keeps me up at night is knowing that at one point in time, there's going to become a time where I'm going to possibly have to stay home to take care of her full time. And because there is no help for me to, there's no access or help out there for me to take care of her. And Kamala has proposed things like home health care for adults, for your parents, where you can help. That to me is something that sticks out to me. And for many other reasons, I already casted my vote, but for many other reasons, I support her.
I love what Dion said because both of them are doing that, and I think that is something that both sides agree on. Because, and I think, and I think that we really should do that because it's the same thing. Because when my grandma died, my auntie could not work, and she had to stay, and she lost everything because it was just no help anywhere for people like that.
What is Trump doing?
I think
what's his proposal?
Well, ma'am, before you start laughing like a disrespectful young woman.
Yeah, because that was funny.
Yeah, it was funny.
You know, Republicans don't like women that laugh.
They don't
like women that laugh.
I got out of my place. Let me get back over here.
That it was
Big Daddy said.
But Trump said the same thing about 3 days ago on a podcast that they are looking at the same thing. Because
three days ago,
things that people do agree on.
That's a track record.
And that is really good.
I guess
Kamala did something 3 days ago. It wasn't a
track record. It was a problem.
I think
I'm just saying, just like Kamala
get it right.
Came out and said no tax on tip after Trump said it. Who cares?
So now it's okay. It's okay to do it because Trump did it.
That is the problem with America. Like y'all can't find agreement. We just want to argue. Both sides agree. Let them agree and let them work.
Only person be arguing is Trump. He don't want to be arguing with himself.
No, that's what Trump is arguing because
with
he
his
wants
people,
to
his
do
rally.
the same thing.
Alexis Maurice, I don't know what type of capabilities you have as an editor on this show, but I would love to have you just go backwards to when he demonized Kamala for just posting her policies on her page recently. But it's okay for Trump to say something on a podcast 3 days ago, and all of a sudden it is just the most profound thing he has ever heard in his life.
And I have not heard anybody say, here's what it is that she hasn't told me about her that I need to know. You can say, I don't know what her policies are. They're listed on her page. You can't say you don't know what they are.
Got listed.
But they're there. Okay.
But again, you guys
so you can take that off. You can say, I don't know what her policies are.
Let me
miss me with the double standards.
Oh, now that's how you clear a bitch.
I'm sorry that I have to act like kids. Like you guys are more of kids than adults that actually think. I'm so sorry.
Mira, first of all, what you're not gonna do is do that.
I'm so sorry. That is when he said the recent time he said it was on a podcast. They talk about healthcare when R.F. Kennedy.
No, he said he had concepts of healthcare. Michael Jamal, you can't unhear. You told us open our ears. You said open our ears. They've been open. He said he had concepts of plans. The world heard
he had concepts.
The world heard that.
Okay, we all heard that.
I retweeted it.
But I'm saying, I said that recently, that was 3 days ago when he talked about it. But the first time that came up is when Kennedy came over to support Trump. He's the one that's leading that whole healthcare narrative.
Kennedy is going to be in charge of healthcare. That's a whole nother topic.
That's something that came out.
I guess here's my thing, Micah. Kind of talked early in discussion about, Kamala and where she stands on different issues. And what I have seen just about all of the platforms that she's been on, that she's not giving us a concept of the plan, but she's giving us the details of what doing. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Yes, I do listen to some of the podcasts and I listen to some of the things where Trump is speaking. And he's never talking about what he's doing for the American people.
It's not true.
In detail. All I hear him talk about, we're going to bring inflation down. He's not saying how he's going to.
Yes, he does. Then he goes and talks about the energy.
We're going to close the border.
Wait, Mo. Hold on one second. Because Micah's going to explain to us how he said he's gonna bring inflation down. Okay.
And I would love to hear it.
So no, what I was just saying was, and one is to get energy costs down because everything is doing with the oil and energy. Because you have to pay for the extra gas to get there. You have to pay for the lights. You have to pay for the trucks.
So how's he gonna get the energy down?
So he said now instead of us getting our oil from overseas, we're not just gonna be prominent, but we're gonna be dominant when it comes to drilling oil from us. Then we're going to sell it. That is going to take it down. So I can't say that he doesn't give plans. I will say this to you. Man does a lot of rallies. Not all his rally is full of detail. I don't know if there's some conservatives out there and say, oh no, he doesn't talk in detail.
Okay, well, I would like to just fact check something because the energy production is true. Michael Jamal is absolutely right. Energy production is actually key. He's actually right about what he is saying.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that Trump is not the candidate to do it because under Biden and Kamala, energy production is at an all-time high, higher than it was when Trump was in office. It's been fact-checked and you can look it up.
You're right, but why?
And so if that's the truth, then how is it going to become more productive when what is he going to do that's going to make it more
we have
productive?
A pipeline in Alaska that Trump was going to open up for us to be dominant. Not prominent, but dominant. When Joe Biden came out, within his first 2 days, Joe Biden shut that down and then opened up the one in Russia. So the only reason why we are producing more because under the Trump administration, the red tape was cut that we can start drilling. The drills was already promised under Trump, but they were delivered under Biden because it was in the year that Biden became in office. So yes, under the Biden administration, we have more oil production. That's not a lie. That's a fact. But it started under the Trump administration. We could have been doing more.
I'll give you that. Let me ask you this then. So certain things that were good under Trump that he started, we're benefiting from now is what you're saying, correct?
So I will say, well, it depends on what it is.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
It all depends on what it is. Because
you just said that the oil we get is because of Trump did that when he was in office.
But
so it all depends.
The oil industry, that's never been one of our big exports in the United States. We're not big in that particular industry. We never have been.
And that's the whole point why we're starting to do it from America and not buying across seas like Iran and Saudi Arabia. Because again, we are funding terrorists over there. We are behest to what they're going to charge us. So that was the whole thought process of bringing everything here and let's drill here in a safer way. But to go back to your question and ask what is the policy that I like the most, the American First, and I'll explain it. Because a lot of things both sides are saying, you can't really say they're going to do it because they have to go through Congress to do it. American First thing is a little different way of saying that we're not going as a federal government buy something that is made overseas. We're going to give you a tax break in Michigan if you are making cars. We're going to give the consumer, us, tax break that we don't have to pay taxes on our interest if we buy American-made cars. Things like that, especially being a business owner and then operating 12 properties. I like that because it's going to push business back to America because right now it's hard out there. So we can push people, give them more tax breaks if they make their stuff in America, hire more American. It should be able to help all of us.
My biggest thing with that is, okay, manufacturing jobs have left our country. You know, he wants to bring them back with tax breaks. But the problem with that is those rich companies, those rich CEOs continue to get these large tax breaks. And then all of that falls on us. We're not the ones that's getting those tax breaks. When you talk about Trump and his policies when it comes to economics and things of that particular nature, Elon Musk is going to bring all of his business back. And we're missing out all of that, all of the money that he makes, all of that money that he makes, and he's paying 0% or 1% of tax or no taxes at all. That then falls on us, the average American people. And I think that's the problem that I have, not just with when it comes to energy or whatever. It comes to all of the things that Trump wants to do. He talks about, tariffs. I want to impose these tariffs on China and things of that nature. Well, okay, the goods still come into this country. The cost just gets pushed onto us as the consumer. And that's the part that I take issue with when it comes to some of his economic policies. They do not benefit us. Even with doing my taxes as a small business owner, I get more money back. I have more exemptions up under Biden or Obama or any Democratic president that I had up under Trump. When I was up under Trump, I ain't getting no damn money back because he blocked and stopped a lot of things that we could claim on when it comes to filing taxes for our businesses. So all of this stuff about he's going to put more money back in our pockets, that's just not true. He's going to put more money back in the pockets of these businesses who continue to lay people off and cut jobs to fatten their pockets.
Let's go to the flip side of that. If the business comes back, then therefore we have to hire more Americans. So that therefore people are coming off the sideline and actually got a good paying job.
That's not guaranteed.
Who else will you hire? If it have to be in America, who else will you hire? Mm-hmm. Point number 2, the VP thing is let's tax the companies and don't tax the American people. This is the issue with that. If you tax me and you tax us as a company and say, hey, you have to pay more taxes, do you think that I'm going to pay that out of my money? Absolutely not. It's going to be getting back to the consumer, and the consumer is going to pay more for me to cover the taxes that now I have to pay. So that is one thing that we don't talk about. That do I want tax cut for everyday American? I think that we should have it. I think we pay too much in taxes, especially me. I mean, I'm on, I think like 40%. So we pay too much in taxes. However, if we go and start taxing these companies because they're not paying their fair share, they will never pay their fair share. They will always put it back down on the consumer. So either way, you're going to be screwed if you start doing it that way. And so, but people don't want to.
Not if these companies put America first. Not if they put America first and they do what's right by the American people. They don't want to do that, and that's the problem.
That's the company.
So these companies that are even here already, they're still continuing to eliminate jobs. You have AI that's starting to get integrated into these
restaurants.
These companies are making the decisions to do that to continue to fatten their pocket. Those are the people who align with Donald Trump. And that's where I have a problem with. These companies are not doing what's right by people. And Donald Trump isn't saying what he's going to do to change or combat that. He's not giving us, he's only giving us concepts of plans. To your point, he's not giving us any details. This woman, Kamala, goes on and gives point after point what she's going to do about this. Donald Trump ain't doing none of that.
She is very vague with her point.
No,
sir, it's not vague. Maurice,
come on,
he's been intellectually dishonest, and I don't want to.
Listen,
let me. Can I say something? You just talked for a very long time, Michael Jamal. You just talked for a very long time. Can I please speak?
We're going to pay.
Grab a drink of water.
So we're going to pay.
Grab a drink of water while I speak. I just want to speak for a minute. I promise.
So just don't call me dishonest. So, but go ahead.
You are being intellectually dishonest.
No, it's being factually. You just don't understand or you don't like it. But
I understand very well.
Go ahead, Dion.
The problem with Trump's concept of his economic plan, Maurice, is that he contradicts himself, okay? And what Michael Jamal is saying would be great if everything was made in America, and that would be great. The problem is that realistically, if Trump gets in office in January, the hundreds of thousands of companies that get product from America, that's not going to overnight just change, and all of a sudden, all the stuff's going to be being made here. So what it means is in the next years and years that all that process of changing from getting stuff overseas, we're going to be still hurting. The pockets of Americans are still going to be hurting in the next 3, 4, 5 years because what you're proposing is not an overnight thing. Also, Trump says that he's going to put 60% tariffs on anything from China and 20% on everything coming from other countries. That raises the money. The only person paying for that is us. Every time I hear a Republican defend this, they say that's not going to happen because we're going to bring jobs to America. Well, pause then. I'm going to pause because here comes the contradiction. Trump says that he's going to pay for all this nonsense, his no taxes on Social Security, no taxes on tips, all this progressive, non-Republican conservative ideas. He says he's going to pay for, let me finish my point. He said that he's paying for this with tariffs. So if you're going to fix the problem to eliminate even the need of tariffs, then how are the other things getting paid for if they're getting paid for by tariffs? Again, like I go back to saying several times today, Republicans cannot have it both ways. You can't say you want to have everything back in America and bring all the jobs back to America, but also say all this wonderful stuff we're going to give the people, all this fancy stuff we want to give the people is getting paid for by tariffs. When y'all keep saying it's just a negotiation tool, well then therefore all the stuff that you're promising us is all negotiation then. It's not even a promise because you're basing it on tariffs. He has not laid out any type of financial plan of how he's paying for all this stuff that he keeps just promising. Every time he gets on the TV, he wants to promise a new thing to everybody just to say that he did it, and he has laid out no plan on how he's going to pay for it.
And I think we look at politics differently. Everything that people say in an election is nothing but their wish list. It's not what they're actually going to do because you never know what you're going to do.
So what is Trump going to do then that's making you go vote for him then? What is the part that he's going to do?
So again, everything that they are saying is what their wish list is. We can have our different opinion, but as an American, we cannot be dumb enough to see that either side is going to do exactly what they say they're going to do. That's not how it works. You then got to add in the Congress. If they don't have the Congress behind them, they can't do anything anyway.
So and the people who continue to stop progress in Congress are the Republicans.
So I'm not going to argue with that.
Since Obama has been in office, you guys have stopped every more progress. Look, you know what
Were you voting for?
Because I vote
Republicans have continuously stopped and blocked everything that we've tried to do to help the American people. It's why we're in the position that we are in right now.
And I mean, technically, you cannot say that, and I'm gonna tell you why.
When do Democrats stop deals?
If you want to go back to Obama, like 4 of his 8 years, he had Congress. Joe Biden, his first 2 years, had Congress. So again, if they really wanted to push it, they had all 3 chains of government: the Senate, the Congress, and the president.
All I know is more things tend to get done when a Democratic president is in office, okay? Because they're willing.
They're
willing.
For America.
You guys are looking
at the economy.
Every time, Democrat. The Republicans feel the same way. They can back it up.
Every time a Republican gets into the presidency,
but we're not dealing in feelings. We're dealing in statistics.
Our economy does this
better
every time a Republican
under Democratic leadership.
Okay, every time a Democrat comes into office, they fix it, and then you guys tear it up.
I remember
you guys.
It's a proven trend.
It's a proven.
It is you guys because you vote for Republican president.
Okay,
I voted for Trump.
And maybe I'm wrong for saying you guys.
Did we say what we talked about?
Michael Jamal, you're not that old. You're not that old. You haven't been legal to vote that long.
You've
been voting for Republican for most of your adult life.
No, I did not.
You voted for Republican since 2016.
He voted for President Obama
twice. So again, you don't.
And this is your 3rd time voting for Trump. So mathematically, like I just said, for more times than not, you voted for Republican.
I have voted 3 times for a Democratic president, 3 times for a Republican.
Right.
When it comes to my governor, I have voted 5 times for a Democrat and 1 time for a Republican.
All right, so let's put a pin.
So again, I'm a real ass American. I don't give a fuck what party you are on. It is wrong.
So let me ask you something: is me, Trey, Maurice, and Tink, are we all not real
We're not
Americans?
American. We're not
real Americans?
No, we're not.
American. I'm sorry, I was born in
I just wanted to clarify that I was a real American.
We're getting deported.
No, we're getting deported. Again, let me clarify, because again, people just come in and didn't even hear what I said. When
we heard what you
said.
Your reference
so this is what I meant, because I clarified what a real American is. That I don't give a fuck what your policy or your party is. I'm gonna call out the BS when I call out BS. Trump cannot say he wanted 100% fix the border when he had the Senate and Congress and he was the president. It didn't get done. The Democrats cannot say they want pathway to citizenship when they had the Senate and Congress and the president. It did not get done. So again, everything that they're saying in this election is only but a wish list. We don't know what either one of them going to do until they get in office. And if we're banking on them to fulfill their promises, every single promises, then I'm sorry, we are done.
Let's put a pin in this conversation and let's move on to our last topic before we end tonight's recording. I want to talk about us. I want to talk about.
I can't wait, Maurice.
Black people. I want to talk about Black people and this election. There's this whole myth going on out there. We got a Black man right here who, voted for President Trump. But there's a lot of talk and chatter out there that Kamala has an issue when it comes to Black male voters. The NAACP actually did a poll, which I'm not a real big fan of polls. Maybe. They did a poll from October the 11th through 17th, and it's just 1,000 Black men. But people feel that it is representative of what could happen come the election day. 1 out of 5 young Black men say that they are supporting and voting for Donald Trump. That's 200 Black men. Tania is not a man, but we got 5 people here. So 1 out of 5, Micah, of course, voted for Trump. With that being said, do you think that Kamala does have a problem when it comes to connecting and getting the support of Black men?